Last night, President Trump said the U.S. military is on track to complete its objectives in Iran, but he did not offer a concrete plan for securing the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has essentially closed the narrow waterway, causing oil prices to spike. The president says other nations need to step up.
The United States imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it. The countries of the world that do receive oil through the Hormuz Strait must take care of that passage. They must cherish it. We will be helpful, but they should take the lead in protecting the oil that they so desperately depend on.
CBS News national security analyst and Marine Corps veteran Aaron MacLean joins us now. He's also host of the School of War podcast. So help me understand the president's thinking as far as you're able to. On one hand, talking tough, saying we're going to hit him as hard as we can, but then saying other nations need to step in and secure the strait. Why that maneuver? Well,
you heard, I think, the president walk through several possible ways the strait could be opened in his remarks last night without really settling on one as the solution. When he says the strait's going to naturally open at the end of hostilities, what I hear in that is that his primary objective is a deal with the Iranians. And it's hard to imagine a deal with the Iranians where we don't demand that the strait be open to all traffic. So that's one straightforward way to do it. Another way to do it would be if the Iranian regime simply collapsed and they were no longer able to contest traffic in the strait. But let's imagine for a moment that neither of those two options actually comes to pass in the next few weeks. Well, that's when the president has kind of a rough road ahead. It is militarily possible to open this strait. We've done it before. The United States did it in the 1980s when the Iranians were engaged in very similar behavior. That was a protracted exercise, lasted over a year. This operation of running escorts through the straits, dealing with whatever threats to those ships pose themselves, goes on as long as the Iranians want to keep shooting.
You made a really great social video for the CBS TikTok page that I think everybody should check out. And you were kind of going through each objective that the administration has laid out and whether or not we are, quote unquote, winning in that particular objective. And I want to talk about Iran's ability to develop a nuclear weapon and the uranium that is still underground. Where are we there?
Yeah, so this has been sort of the dog that hasn't barked so far in the course of Operation Epic Fury. The president is outspoken on his sense that Iran must never be allowed to get a nuclear weapon. He talks about it all the time. It was identified as a goal of the operation early on. But last night, I think you heard him adopt a very different tone. He said in his remarks at the White House last night that, look, we can watch these sites where we know the highly enriched uranium is buried from satellites. If the Iranians move to dig it out, because we think it's pretty deeply buried underground from the rubble from last summer, we can hit them with missiles. I hear that, and I hear him suggesting that a special operations raid to go get those sites is off the table. That's the signal. Now, is that signal part of some broader deception plan? We can't say. We don't know. But any kind of raid to get that stuff would be extraordinarily risky and difficult. And one could imagine hearing his remarks last night that he's seen that option presented to him and is not in love with it.
So the missile option, would that be available to him even past Operation Epic Fury?
Yeah, that's a political question at that point for him. And I presume, given what he said, that if he saw action on the Iranian part to go in and get that highly enriched uranium based on his own actions and policies so far, it's not too much to imagine that he would lack the inhibition to strike. I think he'd go for it.
Aaron MacLean, thank you.
Thank you.